what we want to know. Why didn't you tell us? Do you have any idea how we felt when they came to the world and told us you blew up?
I can only imagine. And for that, I cannot apologize enough. The circumstances which forced me to secrecy were as entangling as a rosebush, and soaring high above the holds of Erebonia's curse. We will join together as one, to become the radiant rays of hope, piercing through the oppressive darkness of despair.
Viscount Arcade?
That was the only other thing I could think of. He wasn't with everyone else, so he was on their side, because he's got that mask on, so...
So this is what became of you.
You can leave any matters in Erebonia to me. I'll make sure to be close in touch with Sarah.
The Society's at work all over the continent. Be careful out there, Dad.
We'll let you know if we discover anything about their plans.
Be careful, Mr. Bright. You too, Chloe.
That was way too intense.
Agreed. Not just the battles themselves, but the entire situation.
Yeah. Having the fate of the entire continent at stake can get a little overwhelming.
Huh. Don't go wussing out on us just yet. We're finally in the home stretch.
Yes, that we are. Oh, Muse?
You changed your clothes back.
So I have. I suppose we should count ourselves lucky things ended up as nice as they did.
I swear. Muse? You don't really think your signature sweet smile will be enough for us to forgive you, do you?
Huh?
I was about to ask just the same.
You were about to pull some real wild shit back there, weren't you?
Just so you know, we overheard your conversation on the bridge. I need to have more than just a few words with you, as your instructor.
Yes, Instructorine.
That was strangely meek of her.
What, you sick or something? More so than usual, I mean.
I'd say she realized she went a bit too far this time around.
Though perhaps we're partially to blame for all the pressure we've placed upon her.
Such is the folly of youth, wouldn't you say?
Olivert.
It pleases us all to have you grace us in good health, Your Highness.
You'll have to direct your thanks to the many others who helped this come to pass. Our endgame is nigh, Reen. Should you wish it, my wings are prepared to lift you to a new path.
It would be our honor, Your Highness. But before that, on behalf of us all, welcome back.
It's good to be back. Now then, ladies and gentlemen, Liberlians, Crossbellans, and Erebonians alike. Welcome aboard the second successor of the high-speed cruiser Arcee, the Courageous II.
Whew. Man, a lot of stuff just happened, and a lot of hell I had to fight
Your
through.
rank went up!
Alright, let's see here. Am I going to make it to A0? I mean, I have no idea. As long as I keep doing my side quests and and not messing up a single fight. I feel like I cannot mess up one more fight, because then I'm not going to get it.
Here's a gift from Her Highness. Oh, wow! You really outdid yourselves!
A part of me is debating whether or not to go on ahead or cut it here. We'll keep going, I guess. A little more, but I think as soon as I could get control of Reen again and can move around, that's it. But a lot of stuff just happened. 5 days to Operation Jormungand. Just gotta show us that, yeah, the Courageous 2 is packed. It's got guns. Is Tello gonna become the captain again? Yeah, Balmar can't respond. Courageous 2 sure has a lot of different rooms for us to use.
Despite being a new model of ship, the system you see here largely emulates that of the previous Courageous. Our operations manual only covers the bare minimum. Should you find anything lacking, you'll have to figure it out as you go.
Understood. I'll make sure to pass it on to everyone else.
In total, it spans a length of 92 Arj. A considerable step up from the previous 74 Arj class. However, because the ship is so much bigger, you'll need to carefully watch the speed and engine output.
Ha! So she's a wild one, eh? Sounds to me like this girl's gonna need a bit more taming than the last one.
This terminal should give you complete command over all the ship's facilities and fire control systems. It comes equipped with anti-hacking measures, specially developed by Professors Albert and Erica Russell themselves.
You mean Mom and Grandpa made it? We should have no problems then.
Amazing.
Incredible. Every inch of equipment on this ship is state-of-the-art.
And that computer's one of the Epstein Foundation's next-generation models. Weren't they only just developed?
That's right. And its hull has the latest innovations in hydrodynamic engineering, courtesy of the Ruhr Institute of Technology. Plus, it seems to be outfitted with ZCF's newest next-gen Orbital engine, too.
Shut up.
It only gets more and more unbelievable every time I hear it. Just how did you manage to construct a cutting-edge ship like this abroad in total secrecy, without anyone finding out?
As I stated earlier, there are a great deal of individuals who helped me make this happen. Such as Mr. Gwyn here, for instance.
Well, you were just chilling here?
Mm-hmm. The story here goes all the way back to right after the Civil War, considering the way it ended. His Highness decided to approach me for some advice. He had me prepare this ship for him, all in anticipation of the day when the Crimson Wings would be torn from the sky.
So that's why.
Huh. I do remember His Highness mentioning something about you being his advisor.
Still, for the construction site to be located on the kingdom of Oberyl's Valerie Lakeshore, and on top of the old Ouroboros secret base to boot, talk about a plot twist. You're referring to the research facility that the Face was constructed during the incident in Oberyle. I heard that after the dust settled, it was handed over to the ZCF to manage. It does seem like Grandpa and the others used it for some kind of research. So not just Gwen and Professor Smith pitched in, but Professor Russell and Her Majesty Alicia too. Whereas Cassius and the Crown Princess were none the wiser. If you want to fool your enemies, you gotta fool your friends first, huh? Classic. As for funding, in addition to His Highness Olivet, Gwyn and His Majesty Eugent also contributed from their personal holdings. But perhaps that most unexpected benefactors were Father and Magnus Ragnar. Indeed, quite a cunning play by those two. I imagine that keeping this from the Alvarez was all in the name of avoiding the eye of the Intelligence Division. Yes, the same with the Cayennes, right? And so the Third Wing was complete independent of the government and the Vice I Army. Of course, when I said we were preparing for our wings to be torn away, we were only expected that they would be commandeered by the government. To be perfectly frank, the thought that they would be physically torn apart never even crossed my mind. This isn't a laughing matter, for the record. Indeed, just being alive is reason enough to give thanks to Adios, even at the cost of a left eye. Your Highness? I hate to ask, but what's the prognosis? A full recovery doesn't seem to be in the cards, unfortunately. But as a musician, I'm just as grateful that my hands and ears made it through in one piece. I suppose I have them to thank for that, eh? So you owe your life to George's inner turmoil and whims of that phantom thief, eh? You have an unbreakable spirit, Your Highness. Don't sell yourself short. So this is how it all went down. God, I remember how fucking sad I was feeling when this happened. You couldn't really hear me, though.
This is... I underestimated them. Shara, I'm sorry. Sorry, looks like I messed up.
Goddess, please protect my daughter.
You have 15 seconds until the hull collapses. So before then, I will offer you one final wager. A gravitational barrier will appear on the bridge for exactly 24 seconds. Let's see if you can come back from this.
Ah! Adios, help us! You gotta stay calm. Get down and brace for impact. Over there! Damn! The gravitational barrier. It's not gonna hold.
Don't give up just yet!
That's how he lost the arm. If this was any other game, we'd see his arm go poof. See, but even then, the whole ship still exploded and they're falling down.
Was I a moment too late? Nay, surely a flicker of hope yet remains. Can you still be plucked from the jaws of Gehenna? Show me just how far that luck of yours will take you, my dearest rival.
I still can't believe that our friend, the Phantom Thief, saved you all from the wreckage. Guess his parlor tricks are good for something, if that's what he's used to spirit everyone away in one piece. No wonder they couldn't find such a single body. On top of that, he healed His Highness's, the crew, and even the Viscount's grave wounds, didn't he? That's right. I was injured too, but somehow I made it out relatively unscathed. When the Viscount jumped in to block the hole in the barrier, I couldn't even use my arts to help him. I've never felt so worthless in my entire life. I'm sorry, Laura. I dropped the ball when it mattered most. Like I've told you, Torvald, you have nothing to apologize for. I'm just relieved you made it out alive. I'm sure Father shares my sentiment. Well, if you say so. I admit I thought Viscount Arcade more or less invincible. I was stunned and speechless to see him in that state. But for him, losing his left arm means he'll just swing twice as hard with his right. Power is but an extension of oneself. And what is a sword if not power, wrought in steel? But ultimately, it's not the might of one's blade, but will and strength of spirit that decided the battle. The words of his lordship from the Infernal Castle 2 years ago. So ridiculously cool. Okay, Edgelord. Given who we're talking about, I expect he'll only emerge stronger from the experience. If that's the case, this could well become the most difficult trial we've faced yet. I'm inclined to agree. It'd be prudent for us to account for every contingency. There's also the promise we made with Lloyd, Estelle, and the others. True that. We can't let them best us. But what exactly is Rose up to? Sorry about my grandmother. She has a way of being evasive. I definitely was a little surprised by how sudden that all was. If it involves the rivalry though, the only thing to do is go and check it out, right? The previous evening, after we and the others had been shown around the Courageous 2, which they boarded at Prince Albert's invitation, they began discussing what they needed to do now that the war would begin in less than a week. As they spoke, a message from a rather surprising party arrived at the conference room.
For those of you who have not yet had the honor, my name is Roselia Milstein. I am the elder of Erebonia's Hexen clan. Emma and Vita are my disciples in the magical arts. It is a pleasure to finally meet you, Prince Olivert, as well as the storied children of Crossbell and the Burl.
How do you do? Until this moment, I've only heard of you through rumor and legend. I've heard that you watched over the laying of Erebonia's foundation by Arno the First. Is that correct? Or true? Well, actually, that was my predecessor. It was Emperor Hector and Prince Drykels, who I was best acquainted with 800 years ago. I cannot say the family resemblance is all that strong in you, but you definitely have a familiar fire in your heart. It's quite an honor to hear that. I've heard about Rosalia from Ren. 800 years old? Even seeing it with my own eyes, I can't quite believe it. I've heard a few things about those of you in the back there as well. Glowing tales from Ragnard and Zeit both. Wait, what? Ragnard? For real? We haven't seen Zeit since. We spoke shortly before they vanished. Even I had no idea of their whereabouts now, however. That's a shame. From the sound of it, Cassius doesn't know either. Ragnard, the ancient dragon, and Zeit the divine wolf. Two of the beasts entrusted with overseeing the Septarians.
Indeed. Beings sent forth by Adios, much like the holy beast of Earth. Thomas Lysander, second dominion of the Gralsritter. Estelle, Lloyd, I've heard many a rumor about your respective endeavors. As for you, Your Highness, I don't think we've had the chance to talk since you were last at the main campus.
And to think that you, a history teacher, are a dominion of the Gralsritter. I must say I was quite frustrated that I was unable to see what was really going on, despite my ties to Kevin. I see. So I guess that means you heard about us from Kevin and Reese. And it sounds like you learned about us from Wazi, right? Right. We're having all of them operate outside of Erebonia at present. They're out there resisting Ouroboros and their ally... Wait. They're out there resisting Ouroboros and their allies working towards the Great Twilight in secret. The 1st, 4th, 5th, and 6th Anguis. It seems the enforcers who haven't come to Erebonia are also all out of operations. Looks like the intelligence vision's been active in other countries too, making some pretty serious moves. The Red Constellation's main regiment, the War God, too. So, Uncle Zygmunt is finally on the move. Yes, Arios and Risha are responding to their actions. It's the same with Noel, Chief Sergei, and Dudley, isn't it? I hope they're all okay. To be honest, things are looking fairly grim. So much so that the Papal Guard has begun to act on its own, and is cooperating with Operation Mon Mirage. I suspected as much. Now is truly not the time for them to be going off on their own like this. Even during the Night Touched affair 200 years ago, the Papal Guard managed to make a nuisance of themselves. For the time being, though, let's focus on the main issue at hand, the rivalry of the Seven and... Though it is unclear how, it seems the announcement that Operation Jormungand and Mille Mirage will commence 6 days from now is connected to the spread of the disturbance in the spirit veins. What? Wait, does that mean it was influenced by today's events? The boss moving out might be related too. Yes, well as my father, the Steel Maiden, and the others. This probably involves Mother and Sharon too. And Mariabelle, she seems to be working with RF somehow. There are likely many cases, but we now have a different grave situation on our hands. Meanwhile, spirit veins across the entire continent have begun activating. It's no longer limited to the Empire. Wait, what the hell? The disturbance was initially a gradual ripple outward from the Empire, but it seems to be matching the coming war in its scope. Right, that's the Great Twilight at work. They need it in full swing for the rivalries to even be possible. I imagine even now they're preparing for the ultimate reformation of the Great One. If only there was something we could do.
The solution is simple. Use this ship to whatever end you see fit. The rivalry of the Seven appears to be the true objective behind this plan of the Chancellor and the Gnomes. That much we can safely assume.
I love this track.
And yet, it is this very same objective that may be our sole hope in preventing the disaster to come.
You for real here? It's true that ever since this curse was unleashed, it's felt as though everything's being guided by some unseen force. With that in mind, it'd be near impossible to try and prevent the war altogether.
That's probably why Dad and Chloe opted for Operation Mille Mirage instead. But while we're on it, what exactly is this curse anyway?
We know full well the sort of strife a Septarian can cause. We saw so ourselves during the incident in Liberl a few years back. There, we had to come face to face with the same issues our ancestors contended with 1,200 years ago.
It was the same for us. We fought back against a centuries-long plan to artificially recreate a Septarian. One that had been lost due to mankind's own hubris.
Yeah, I almost made a really big mistake back then. But then Lloyd and the others came and made everything all right again.
Yeah, after they died and you revived them.
In Liberl, a ring that could grant any heart's desire. And in Crossbell, a tree that could rewrite destiny itself. Each one a blessing, yet each one a curse. But in spite of that, Estelle, Lloyd, and everyone else faced them head on. They didn't lose heart even once.
Therefore, discovering the truth is your responsibility. It's not something Estelle, or Lloyd, or even the rest of us can accomplish. Only you, Class 7 of Thor's military academy.
The Empire's facing threats both on its surface and behind the scenes. And you're no strangers to kicking tail on either of those fronts. I can't think of a more tenacious bunch out there. The way I see it, you guys are the only ones who can do this.
It's up to us then.
Naturally, the Courageous Two has its own missions to see to. We must travel around the country helping people and gathering allies. Even so, I have no doubt that we can still serve as your wings of passage. More so with the Merkaba out of commission. After all, the difference in size should be more than enough to fit, say, 2 Divine Knights and 4 Panzer Soldats?
Olivert.
You've put so much thought into this. We appreciate it.
Then Thor's Military Academy's Class 7 would be honored to take you up on that offer, Your Highness. We'll do everything we can to assist you in your efforts as fellow members of the Radiant Wings.
We'll help too. It's only fair after all you've done for the branch campus students.
If you ever need someone to make that ship purr, I'm your gal.
Fabulous! Delighted to have you. You see, we've been rather lacking in the crew department.
Well, I sure as hell ain't sitting this one out. What kind of instructor would I be otherwise?
Count me in too. I mean, we're finally all back together again.
Like we said, we're gonna be off doing our own thing, but we'll still be helping out.
Same with us. We'll be catching a ride on the Bobcat too after we're done here.
Now that you mention it, you did both say you'd be working separately.
Yeah. The plan is to cover Eastern Erebonia, North Ambria, and Jirai.
You mentioned getting in touch with HQ in Lamont. Guess that means you guys are heading out too, huh, Shara?
We are. Though we won't be leaving the ship until tomorrow.
Sarah, Fee, you guys got things covered here, yeah?
Of course. When have we ever let you down?
Call us if you need anything, okay?
I guess this is goodbye for now then, huh?
Yeah. We've got some stuff to take care of back in Crossbell.
Don't worry. We'll be seeing each other again before you know it. In the meantime, let's give this our all.
Yeah! We got this, Yuna!
Right!
Seems like we'll be able to divine things up by region then. You should be able to just weave everything with the Merkaba Unit 8 up to Rosine and Gaius. I'll be arranging for its repairs at a nearby location. I really am in debt, Thomas. Rosine, you too. Thank you. No worries, please, look after everyone. It will not be easy, but our shred of hope has come into view. The time has come for me to undergo my final undertaking. Grandmother? What do you mean by final undertaking? Listen well, children of Class 7. As noted, the spirit veins throughout the land are activating, and they are disordered as they've never been before. The same can be said for the shrines, the stages for the rivalries. This includes the Luna Shrine, the only shrine we witches have overseen since ancient times. The Luna Shrine. Isn't that close to Mosante? Yes, it is the location of the reflecting pool, and generation after generation of wandering witches have watched over it. This pool reflects the genuine truth, and is to be believed to be connected to the origin of the Black Records. I didn't expect to hear those mentioned here, as I myself was just told about the other day. I suggest anyone interested in the real truth behind the curse to come. I swear in my true name I shall provide the answers to your doubts, rest assured. A trial for everyone in Class 7 is what's needed here. Only Celine is left, yes? I'm going to need you to take your human form, Celine. Huh? Grandmother? The protags go their separate ways again. We thought the Lunar Shrine was a dead end, but there was more to it after all. This will be a trial for the entirety of Class 7. I'm reminded of our adventures in the old schoolhouse 2 years ago. Ah, you mean where everyone first met Valimar? Yeah, and then that crazy go-nuts corridor appeared at the end. Rivery Corridor. Knowing what we know now, I think the place is yet another sort of shrine. I don't know what my grandmother's intentions are, but we should prepare ourselves for anything. For crying out loud, why am I? I'm not even part of Class 7. Just admit it already, Celine. You're one of us, whether you like it or not. This will be the first time we've seen your human form since the Black Workshop, huh? Ah, to gaze upon both Celine's lovely figure and the reflecting pool on the same day. What fortuitous timing. Once everyone's done their little tour around the Greatest 2,